I know that I said the next upload was going to be camping in the new truck camper. However, after letting the GFC sit in this driveway during a little bit of rain that we've gotten over the last few days, there's an issue that needs to be addressed before I take it out camping. Reason being is I want to, in this video, kind of fit all my gear in here and see how it's gonna best orientate itself in the back of the truck. And then, then we can take it camping. However, the issue that I'm having right now due to the rain leads me to not want to put any gear in the back of the truck. So the plan for today is to figure out how I want to put all my gear in the back of the truck before camping. But then I also need to show you guys what the issue is. I'm going to show you guys the fix and then the application. So hopefully you guys can learn something on this. Let me first start by showing you what the actual issue is. All right, so for starters, I freaking love, from a videographer's perspective, having all the doors, the panels open on the sides allows way more light in here. So filming this kind of stuff is so much easier than having to like kick on little lights inside and have to rely on those, or I have to like awkwardly set exposure to inside the truck, and then everything that is in the background outside is like blown out and just looks white. So this is really nice, but let me show you guys the issue at hand. So in the back here, it's pretty much dried up now. Let me start by prefacing this with, I should have done something different and GFC should have done something different. So both parties are at fault here. There is water intrusion coming in on these corners, both sides. And the reason for that mainly is, I'm gonna put myself at blame. On my old truck camper show, I would layer a ton of the truck cap tape, like 3 layers of this stuff around everything, so it really squishes into all the crevices. And then I would also take a little piece of that truck topper tape, roll it up, and put it in this little seam on both sides. And I didn't do that before the GFC. So, kind of my fault there. However, the issue I have, and this will be a lot more obvious once I get the GFC lifted off and we start addressing this little issue, is GFC, when they install this, they use 3 different pieces of gasketing, if you want to call it. I think it's bulb seal. So GFC cuts 1 piece for this side, 1 piece for this side, and then 1 piece up at the top here. I'm going to call that the bulkhead. So it's 3 pieces of gasketing. And if you can kind of see where I'm going here, the issue is it's not 1 piece of gasketing. So there's seams, there's breaks in the gasket, which basically occur right where the water intrusion is happening. So this gasket along the sides runs up, and then they run one this way, and there's that section there where they have cut the gasket and they just butt it up against each other. And to be quite honest and frank, that's not really good for water intrusion, to have a gap. I know it may look like it's touching and doing what it's supposed to do, but water, if there's a way, it will find a way in. So the fix here is I'm going to use, actually, you know what? I'm going to wait to show you guys that. First, I need to unbolt the clamps on here and get this thing ready to lift off the truck. It's going to be kind of interesting. I've never done this before. I'm going to try and like stack some stuff here and then run a giant wooden beam across, so that way it sits on the actual frame of the GFC and it's not pressing up by the ceiling here. I'm gonna try and lift it up a few inches, then I can show you exactly what's going on, take off the old gasketing, and put the new solution on there. So we'll see how it plays out. This is trial and error, but first I need to get these unscrewed. Now, this is definitely no knock at the guys over at Adventure Motorsports. They did a phenomenal job on the install. They even marked the bolts with some paint to basically allow me to see if any of the bolts come loose. But I know they recommend you tightening these after doing maybe like 500 miles of driving, so I'm probably overdue to do that anyways, but we're gonna take the GFC off, and it looks like these are an Allen head, so gotta figure out which one. So I don't have the bit. Everything on this GFC is standard, not metric. Both of my cars are JDM and, well, Toyota, Honda, they use metric. So I don't have a lot of tools for standard. I need a standard set of Allens. And I can't just rely, like I have the handheld ones, but these things are supposed to get torqued down to 40 foot-pounds, and I don't want to rely on a hand Allen key to do that. So before we get going here, I got to run to the store, grab that, and you know, it's never a bad time to drive the taco. Let's do it. Who doesn't love a little Toyota V6 5VZFE cold start in the morning? Let's do it. All right, correct sockets secured. See if we can't give this another whirl. The GFC is officially lifted off the truck, and as you guys are probably used to seeing by now, I'm always down to do some sketchy stuff to get things done. So we have 2 wheels and tires with 2 pieces of ply with the jack on top. And then I've got a couple more pieces of wood with a long 4x4 running across, so it's lifting the GFC up by the frame and not the actual like bed panels. Figured that would be a much safer bet, but I bought myself just enough room, I think, to get this seal out and put a new seal in. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's a whole lot of water already in this seal. It's actually dripping off the back of the GFC here in this corner. So this is the major issue right here. Is if you can see that there's actually 2 different pieces of gasketing there. So it's just not an ideal setup, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull this old gasket off, the GFC gasket. I'm gonna save it just in case, and I'm gonna get the new gasket ready to roll. Well, the gasket was absolutely not salvageable. It just tore up, but there is so much water sitting on the top of my bedside here that, yeah, this gasket just doesn't seem to be doing anything at all, except maybe keeping the majority of water out, but then it seems like it just traps the rest of the water almost like a sponge. So we'll figure out a better plan here. Now with the old seal off, I'm just gonna wipe this down and let it start to air dry as much as humanly possible before I put the new seal down. Get the underside of here. That should do the trick, hopefully. And it looks like we've got some pretty ominous rain clouds coming in, so I think I need to make some haste here and knock this out. So to replace the old GFC seal, you may be asking, what am I going to use? It's the tried and true. It's what I've been using for the last 3 years of truck camping, and that's this foam camper top tape. I bought a couple of them because the plan is to hit each side at least once. And then I also use multiple cuts of it. So I'll do one cut here that runs all the way to the edge, and then I'll do the bulkhead edge to edge, and then I'll run another one back and keep repeating that process till I have about 2 or 3 layers. And what ends up happening is in this corner, it's actually stacked up almost 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 layers thick, and that kind of compresses down, so that way there's not just one layer that's butt seamed together, it's actually overlapping a bunch of times. So, and then of course I'm going to take a little like inch of this piece, or a piece, what am I trying to say? An inch of tape, roll it up, and I'm going to wedge it in between these seals here on both sides. There's just a little gap that kind of divots down like so, that makes it sit a little bit more flush with the new seal. So that's the plan. I'm gonna try and knock this out before the rain comes in, get this thing dropped back down, and then actually we may have some fresh rain to see if the new seal is actually gonna hold up. Well, I'll tell you what, I sure know how to pick the right days to work on this kind of stuff. As you guys saw, or hopefully saw, we had an absolutely insane torrential downpour followed up with marble-sized hail. I checked the hood and the roof of the truck. There doesn't seem to be any hail damage, but we've also not gotten anything like that all year. So hilarious in its own way that I decided to work on some water intrusion stuff during, well, the one torrential hailstorm we've had this entire year in Tennessee, or at least in my part of Tennessee. But I've gone ahead and laid down 2 layers of new tape because the old tape got blown away, so I had to run out, buy new tape. 2 layers on the sides and 3 layers up top at the bulkhead. And I'm gonna show you real quick what that corner looks like. I mean, it's kind of a mess right now because nothing's been trimmed to fit. I'm not gonna do the trimming until I put the GFC back down, but I wanna show you guys because right now is probably the best time so that way you can see what I mean about the overlapping corners. So right here at the bulkhead, you can see I've layered the corners or each of the sides on top of each other. So you end up with like, honestly, 6 layers on the corners there. And that has always worked for me on my old camper shell. The GFC isn't exactly flat. It's kind of got this like roundish shape to it. It's not flat on the bottom, which I kind of don't understand why they do that. But nonetheless, here we are. I'm gonna go ahead and slowly drop this thing down and try and get it situated correctly. Basically with the cab of the truck right now, it needs to go a little bit further forward this way. And then, I don't know, you kind of got one shot at this because if you set it down and then you have to take it back up, all the tape comes up with it, which is just a grand old time. So wish me luck. I'm gonna see if I can get this in one shot. The Go Fast Camper is back down on the 1st gen Tacoma. So I've left the, what do we call this stuff? The gasketing, the sealant, the sealer, the seal long, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut that after I torque down all of the clamps for the GFC. Obviously we have a ton of stuff splurging out over here, which is good. That's what we wanted. You can see how much buildup there is now, and the GFC has about almost a finger width of seal to push down on. So it should hopefully do much better than the original seal. And then I tried to leave about the same gap in between the cab and the GFC. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm wondering if it needs to go forward a little bit more, but at the same time, I don't want it rubbing up against the window on the back glass for the truck cap. So now I've got all the clamps just kind of fairly tight so that way they're not jiggling. And like any seal that you do anywhere, anytime, you want to go cross to cross or cross pattern so that way you're bringing whatever you're tightening down evenly and not, if I were to just torque this all the way down to, I believe 40 foot-pounds is what GFC recommends for these, then it risks pushing down this seal and then having gaps somewhere. So you want to try and slowly bring it all down evenly. That way the seal doesn't get misaligned and doesn't get squished unequally. So just go like a couple turns there, across, couple turns there, go this side, couple turns there. And I'm kind of just feeling for when the tightness feels about the same. So like that already feels pretty tight there. So I'm going to stop on that one. Okay, and then I'm going to get the breaker bar out here, set it to 40 foot-pounds. should be right about there. And we'll just work in the same cross pattern. So start back here. Give it a turn. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 at 40 foot-pounds. So now this thing should be nice and snug, and I can still see some seal, which is very nice. That means the seal is properly filling up the gap in between the clamps, or in between the bed and the GFC frame. Now it's time to cut off the excess seal here. Kind of want to shut this and see how it's going to line up. It's not going to matter, so yeah, I just want to cut that flush. I was reading a lot of the comments on the last video where I announced the GFC, and there were a lot of you that have had GFC experience and saying how the water intrusion issue is a big deal. I hear you. And I was kind of expecting it. I've also heard the same thing with these, that water intrusion is just kind of a constant battle. So, I'm up to the challenge, and that's why I ordered this thing. And something I just want to remind everyone out there who's throwing a lot of shade at GFC, you're buying the cheapest pass-through pop tent camper on the market. Correct me if I'm wrong, but everyone else that's selling this style of camper with the cabana style doors and the pop tent on top with the access through the bed, it's like you're spending at least, I think the next step up is like 12, 13. I've seen some as high as $18,000. I cannot justify spending $18,000 on a camper that is going on a $9,000 truck, more or less. Thankfully, these first-gen Tacomas seem to be only going up in value, but that's beside the point. The GFC is, one, made in America. There's something to be said about that, and I'm always down to support American companies. And I understand that I'm getting maybe a product that I'm going to have to work on myself to get it to where I want it to be, which I think is what GFC's whole point was, is they give you the platform, and then you have to figure it out how to make it the best for your vehicle. And I know water intrusion shouldn't, I totally agree with you, water intrusion shouldn't be on that issue or on that list of things for you to work out. I wish I could say that I've already camped in this thing and I've already figured out how I want to sort all my gear, but it's just not the way the cookie crumbles. So I basically spent as little as I possibly could on this type of camper, and I'm gonna, roll with the punches with it. So I hear what you're saying. Trust me, it does not go unnoticed. And I do wish, and I think GFC has a lot of opportunities to continue to make these better. However, I'm super happy to have it. I needed to have some sort of a change from my fiberglass shell, and I really have been wanting something like this for a long time. So, you know what? I'm just gonna roll with it. I bit the bullet on the cheapest product there was, and now I'm gonna see how it works out for me. Maybe for the good, maybe for the bad. That sounds like a weird way to put that. Maybe for better or for worst. We shall see. So I'm gonna get this all cut out to shape, and then I may start bringing some gear into this thing and see how things might lay out. Now the fun part of this whole thing is gonna be to start putting some gear in here and seeing how it's all gonna fit together. I think starting with the power station. I'm gonna have to pull all this out again after I film this, because I still obviously want to make sure that everything in here stays nice and dry, but at least for now, you can kind of see how it's going to look, because I don't want to leave you guys, just watching me lay down a seal. That's not the most entertaining thing, or maybe it is, but I find that this stuff, building out the bed, is probably what you guys want to see. Speaking of what you guys want to see, put down in the comments how you would build out this lower portion of the GFC. Would you use wood? Would you use extruded aluminum? Would you keep it nice and compartmental and maybe just using some storage bins so that way you can take stuff in and out super easily and not have to have a whole build inside? Yeah, let me know down in the comments what you guys would do. Also, let me know down in the comments where you're watching from. I always love to find out. So let's turn this thing on, and I bought the lighting kit with this GFC, so may as well use it. Rock with that setting. All right, Next up, the fire extinguisher. I used to keep this in the truck, but I think that it might be better to have it back here, especially running a diesel heater, doing cooking and all that sort of stuff. I think I would love for it to live like up here, perhaps, somewhere easily accessible, maybe right there. I would have to still sort out like a mount for it. There are some screw holes here that GFC gives you. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up top. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the bottom. So you could mount it maybe somewhere here. But again, want to keep it nice and close to the tailgate. That way, if I need access to the fire extinguisher, I can do so. So, you know, I'll have to figure that one out. If you guys know of any like 3D printers or anybody that makes cool GFC parts, fire extinguisher mounts, that sort of stuff, let me know. And speaking of keeping everything compartmental, at least for now, most of the camping stuff is gonna live in that. And I'm gonna basically have my bedding and my cookware all in here, which I can probably just store pretty snug in the back here. That can probably just stay in the truck for tonight until I can water test this thing again and make sure that it's not leaking from the front there. Once I know that's for sure not leaking water, then I can entertain how I want to build this out. Oh, the refrigerator also needs a home in here. Let's get the fire extinguisher out of the way for now. And if you guys watched the last video, I'm thinking right about here, give or take. I'll have to sort out the dimensions a little bit better because even right now, I don't think my tailgate will close. No, it will not. So I'll have to sort out how to get this fridge to fit better in here. But I was looking at a couple different options for the fridge. One, getting a new fridge that has a little bit smaller footprint, but also getting like a slider for the fridge so that way I can slide it out. And then there's some that even slide out and then tilt, so that way you can kind of more easily grab what's inside. But I was also hoping I could just make that. I mean, it's just a slider and then maybe a hinge system to have it tilt. So if you guys have had any experience with that, let me know. I think that would be pretty cool though, just to have this thing come out all the way. So when I'm at camp cooking, easy access to the fridge. I don't think I want the power station to live here full time because, well, yeah, I'm not sure. The thing is, I want to have easy access to the power station. So if I'm outside at camp, I can easily come up and plug my phone in without necessarily having to jump up in here. I suppose I could maybe put it up here or maybe on top of the wheel well, and then I can just kind of reach around and put the plug in. That would be pretty simple. The lighting in here is wired to this corner, so this cable is plenty long if I wanted to route it elsewhere. I don't know, there's lots of options here. And gosh, I love having the side access though. This is the best thing ever. Having this open even right now is so nice. I cannot wait to go out and camp in this thing. So I think, what else do I have? Fire extinguisher will live somewhere over there. I do a ton of fishing, especially in the summertime. And honestly, I need to get a new rod because this one is a one-piece rod and it's longer than 6 feet, which is the size of my bed. So there's no way I can run it flat. But I was thinking about building maybe like a PVC tube that I would mount. Let me show you. Up here, and actually I could probably use these 1/4-20 or whatever size screw that is to mount the PVC tube up there. And if I get a 2-piece rod, then I can just break that down and slide it into there and then have the fishing rod nice tucked up and away. And I think that would be pretty ideal. Oh, the big thing. So obviously I'm going to be doing a lot of camping up in the rooftop tent. However, there will be times when I want to camp and sleep down below, doing stealth camping. In fact, I already have one lined up for early next month that, we'll see how bare bones we are with this thing, but I need to sort out the bed system And for now, you know, it might just be laying out the mattress right here and sleeping, you know, a little bit more like cowboy style on the ground until I decide. I think I'd still love to have, if I'm going to build anything out in this truck, it'll probably be a platform like I had before with a pull-out drawer. I'll have the side cubby access there because I really love that. Like, of my entire wooden build before, that's the one thing that always stayed. I always loved having that. It was kind of like the whole point of building out the wood section was to have a platform and a drawer to store stuff and a platform to sleep on top of. So, you know, slide that thing over, put the bed at least right there for now. It's kind of the plan. Not sure if I'm going to do that out of wood or extruded aluminum yet. And that is about it, I think. So I'm going to leave you guys there. Stay tuned for the next one. I'll be doing some camping, I believe, unless I get extra motivated. I'm trying to push out more content for you guys because I'm awfully excited about this thing. And I hope you guys are too. Whether we're fixing it, working on it, building out a camping setup, I hope you guys look forward to all of it because you got to enjoy the process. And with that being said, folks, I'll see you in the next one. Keep elevating, my friends. Adios. Oh, wait, let me make sure this is unplugged. We're getting, okay. Who doesn't love a little V6 5D? Damn it. Who doesn't love a little Toyota V6 5VZs? Who doesn't love a little Toyota V6 5VZFE cold start in the morning? Let's do it.